Episode of the podcast is Nathan North. A bona fide payroll expert, Nathan is a member of the Research Advisory Board for the Future of Payroll here at HR.com. He is also a board member at Global Payroll Geeks. Welcome to the Future of Payroll and Workforce Management Insights by HR.com, your go-to resource for insights into payroll and workforce management. From navigating compliance and technology trends to exploring the latest in global payroll solutions, we're here to keep you ahead of the curve. Join us as we dive into the forces reshaping payroll and share practical strategies to optimize your workforce management. Let's get started.
To me, when I think psychology of payroll, I think about it not just of the payroll professionals, which I know, and I know you do too. Organizationally, it's kind of funny. It's the most important thing. It's kind of funny. When it comes to your employees, it's the most important thing, and yet it's the thing you want to think about the least. Employees as an organization, and yet it's maybe the thing you want to think about the least. What is it? Why is it? Is it because it's seen as because? And what is it? Why is it? Is it scary? Because it's too scary to think about not being able to do it? Is it scary because it's too scary to think about not being able to do it?
Where I wouldn't say it's scary. Really, my main and this is kind of where point what I'm actually including in it. Really, my main intent is not to really the fear. It's the mystery. Out some key factors. It's the mystery of what do these people really do, because the mystery of what do these people really do, because then payroll just there is the myth but when you start working with an executive, payroll just happens. I've had this but when you start working many times throughout my career, and working with an executive, a CFO or CEO, many times throughout my career, they're limited working with an executive, a CFO or CEO, payroll operations, they're limited understanding all the different levers we have to push and pull, operations to get the machine running, all the different levers we have to push and pull is a mystery to get the machine running. And I would say that most executives have a curiosity. And they want to understand, have a curiosity. But I really strongly feel and they want that to understand. As a profession, we haven't equipped people. I really strongly feel that as my fellow payroll professionals have not been equipped. And to know how professionals to sell, have not been equipped. Goes to the art of selling. To know how to the executive level. What they do, the art of selling, and the importance to the executive level. Made amazing strides. What they do, but we're not there yet. I think we've made amazing strides because that's really our mindset. But we're not there usually. Tactical and that's because that's really our mindset. Instead of usually speaking tactical from a strategic standpoint, which on the executive level, instead of have to be presenting things from a strategic way, which on the executive level, strategic fashion, have to be presenting using very strategic way. In a very strategic fashion, mean something, and using very strategic on words. Each level of the audience, and that's really where I'm digging into the psychology of payroll. On each level of the audience, really and that's looking at where I'm digging into the psychology of talking to an executive. Is really looking at what's the psychology of talking to an executive HR C-level. What's the psychology of talking to finance and to what HR? Is a model? What is global payroll organizations? We have this talk right now. Global payroll organization. Payroll be in HR? Should payroll be in finance? We have this talk right now. Should payroll be in HR? And really, honestly, be in finance. It's dependent on the organization. Is there one perfect model? And really, honestly, it's every single scenario. Is there one perfect model? No. There's not every single scenario. The larger the every company that's out there, no, it makes more sense to. However, the larger the company is, more of a standalone. It makes more sense.
What about chief operations officers, though?
More of a.
What is the? Is that a bridge chief operations to the rest of the C-suite for payroll? What is the? No, is that a bridge to the rest of the C-suite for payroll?
No, the bridge to the C-suite has been either chief legal officer or general counsel. Has been or either the route chief legal officer, and I would do this purposely. I would target the head of legal, or the route. I would do this purposely. I would target the head of legal, VP controller, or top controller in the organization. VP controller, and I would give a presentation that I coined State of Payroll. And I would give your payroll a presentation that I coined state of payroll. Here's the state of your payroll. Something I always do for 90, 120 days. 120 days. I put together, and it's more for myself. But then I started the first figuring out 120 days. If I start presenting together, and it's more for myself. Then I started figuring out the top legal. If I start presenting it, officer to the top legal controller level officer. What I found is if I practiced on them, controller level, and they don't even know what I found is if I practice, they're the ones that usually will open up the door. And they don't even know I'm practicing, and say they're the ones that usually will open. You need to give this presentation, and say, you have a good grasp. You need to give this presentation. You have a good grasp on payroll in general. You have a good grasp. Have a good way of communicating information. Payroll in general. My other colleagues have a good way of communicating this information. Because what I would do, my other colleagues need to know this information. I would use because what I would do, I would use analytics, English. I would also build out a grid. English. Here's our top 10 challenges. I would also build out a grid. And if here's any cost for the solution, what the cost was, and timeline. Here's the solution, and if there was any cost for the solution, what the cost was, and timeline. That opened the door so many times. Whether I was full-time or as a consultant. That opened the door so many times that I was able, or as I didn't have to, make a table. I didn't have to grab my seat at the table, make a table. I didn't have to be even invited grab my seat at the table. Because after a few, so I was then invited in. Usually would do the state of payroll after a few. So I was then after that. Usually would do the state of payroll 9 out of 10 times. I would start getting tapped on the shoulder to join 9 out of 10 meeting and that meeting that had nothing to do with payroll. Tapped on the shoulder to join this meeting and that meeting that had nothing to do with payroll. But there were business problems that the business was trying early to solve in my career. And when you're invited to a table early on in my career that you specialize when you're invited to a table, the first powerful thing you can do you specialize in. Yeah. The first after you listen, and I would sit there and I would listen to everybody going around the table. After you listen, arguments, and I would sit there and I would listen to everybody going around the table. Sometimes I'd be sitting there 50% of the way through and think, okay, I think I have a solution. Sometimes I'd be sitting there 50% of the way through and think, okay, I think I have a solution. So sometimes it would be, and I don't wait for someone to call on me. I learned that, and I don't wait, and that's really where to call on me. I really want to see that early on as well, and that's really where is where we really want to see the called upon for strategic is where we are called upon that for strategic are not related to business issues.
What's it going to take? It's going to take some outreach
are not
to
related to payroll.
What's it going to take? It's going to take some outreach to
folks that are
different kind of people.
And I would say, look, you have the excellent at what they do. Comfortable being payroll processors. Perfect. That's all they want to do. They're excellent at what they do. However, this is more none of the folks that want to. However, go beyond this is more payroll. For the folks that want to get into leadership, go beyond. They want to get into more of a role. They want to get into leadership. They want to get into on the strategy. More of a role of working, and that's where I think we've done a great job in education. Is and that's where I think we've done a great job. Great education for operational in the payroll industry is that given. Great education just haven't given and tactical really a deep dive into just haven't given and how do you really become that dive into strategy operational how do you become that strategic and really I should take operational out of it. It's really operational strategist, a strategic strategist. And really I should take operational out of it. It's really being a strategic strategist. You have to have general understanding of psychology. I mean, everything goes back to psychology, and that's why I'm writing. I have to have general understanding of psychology. I mean, everything goes back to psychology, and that's why I'm writing the psychology of payroll. And I'm not saying that we have to use psychology to manipulate people to get what we want. I'm not saying that it's understanding people better so you can communicate better with them. It's understanding people with better so you can communicate are in IT. are in finance,
with the
are in
folks
business
that,
applications, are
IT,
in immigration,
are
in
legal,
in finance,
in
are
HR,
in business applications,
all
are
the
in
stakeholders,
immigration,
global
in
mobility,
legal,
in HR,
all these stakeholders that we
all
all
the
work with.
stakeholders, global mobility.
We need to understand how to
all these
effectively
stakeholders that we all work
communicate.
with.
We need to
And
understand
that's really where the
how to
psychology of payroll
effectively
really comes
communicate.
in is what, and
Because
that's really
how
where
I
the
speak
psychology
to
of
an
payroll really
engineer
comes in
or an
is
engineering
how,
leader
what is
because
different
how I
than
speak to an engineer or an
someone in
engineering
finance
leader
and accounting
is different
versus
than
speaking to the CFO.
speaking to someone
Same
in
with HR
finance and accounting.
I
versus
came out of
speaking to the
HR.
CFO.
So
Same with HR.
I understand how to talk to HR.
I came
because
out
I
of
was
HR.
once HR.
So,
And so I know how to talk to CHROs
because I
what
was
matters
once
to the
HR.
C-suite about payroll.
And so I know how to talk to
What really
CHROs.
matters? What matters
The
to the
CEO
C-suite about
is
payroll?
going to differ from the CFO.
What really matters?
CFO is going to be the
is gonna be
CEO
focusing on numbers.
is going to differ from
CEO
the
is gonna be
CFO.
focusing on operations.
CFO is going to be focusing on
The
numbers. Chief revenue
CEO is going to be
officer is going to be focusing on how their sales
The
people are getting
chief
paid.
revenue officer is going to be
That's,
focusing on
where
how
that
their
clicked.
sales people are getting
CHRO
paid.
is going to be
So
focusing on
that's,
employee experience.
where that clicked.
And accuracy. CHRO is going to be focusing
not
on
necessarily
employee experience.
and
Accuracy.
Your
Chief
not
marketing
necessarily
officer
compliance.
is going to be looking at
Okay,
your
how do
chief
we
marketing
look to
officer
the external world
is going to
on
be
how
looking
we
at
treat
okay,
our employees
how
and what
do
our employee
we look
experience
to the
is.
external world
Mhm.
on how we
Because
treat
there's
our
always that
employees and
aspect
what our
within
employee
marketing.
experience is.
Mhm.
You
Because
look
there's always
at
that aspect
the
within
chief legal
marketing.
officer. They're going to be looking at. You
compliance.
look at
Yeah.
the
Are
chief
we,
legal officer.
working a
They're going to
compliant
be
way?
looking at. And
Compliance.
even if they don't
Yeah.
realize
Are
that there's a lot of
we,
compliance
working a
within
compliant
payroll,
way?
they will quickly
And
learn.
even if they don't realize
because
that
the
there's a
payroll,
lot of
and that's where the payroll
they
professional
will
has to
quickly
be a
learn
strategist.
Mm.
Because the
Going
and that's where the
to
payroll
each of
professional
those
has to be a
leaders
strategist
and saying,
Mm.
look, going
I
to
have something
each
to
of
show
those
you
leaders
that
and saying, look,
resonate
with you.
I have something to show
and you're
you
going to care about what
resonate
we
with
do in
you.
payroll because
And
I
you're
have
gonna
figured
care
out about what
the
we do in
strategy to
payroll
reach you.
because
You're
I have
obviously not gonna
figured
say it that
out,
way,
but that's basically what the
strategy to
approach
reach
is.
you.
You're obviously
Um,
not going to say it that way, but
You know,
that's
I liken
basically
the
what the approach
C-suite.
is. And
You
I
know,
even
I
liken
the
leadership in
C-suite,
general.
to the Winnie the Pooh
And I even
characters.
liken leadership in general. There are different
To the Winnie the Pooh
psychological
characters.
challenges, issues, but
There are different
there's
psychological
the
challenges,
biggest tool
issues,
but
that
there's
we can teach people.
the biggest tool
and have in our arsenal
that we can
is
teach people
teaching
and
folks
have
a
in
little
our
bit of
arsenal
psychology.
that are in payroll.
Is because we're
Teaching
introverts.
folks a little
I'm
bit
an
of
introvert.
psychology, and so
that are in payroll.
that goes back
Because we're
to psychology.
introverts. I'm an introvert.
And so
I have a question for
that
you.
goes back to psychology.
All right, an observation.
Um,
And what if this is what
I
you're
have a
getting
question
at?
for you.
Yeah.
All right, an observation.
Yeah, are we dealing with
And what if this is what
a
you're getting at?
payroll being a
Yeah, are we dealing
essentially
with
an introverted
payroll
enclave of the organization,
essentially
and
an
the C-suite is an
introverted
extroverted one? Enclave of the organization, and the C-suite is
That's
an
hard to
extroverted
answer.
one.
because with the executives that I've worked with,
That's hard to answer.
they're also a mix
because
of introverts and
with the
extroverts.
executives
that I've worked with,
But if I look at
they're
it from
also
a job
mix
function
of introverts and
standpoint,
extroverts.
but if I look at it from a job
absolutely
standpoint,
payroll is the
I would say
introverted,
absolutely.
possibly neurodiverse.
Payroll is the
individual in the room.
introverted, possibly neurodiverse,
because we see the world completely different.
individual in the room.
Based off of what we see in our day-to-day
because we see the
roles.
world completely different.
Based
And
off
so
of
our
what we
lens
see
is
in
so
our
much
day-to-day
different from the
roles.
lens of an executive.
I
And
actually
so
like
our
that
lens is
neurodiverse
so much different from the
um,
lens of an executive.
analogy.
there's
I
a
actually
narrow,
like that neurodiverse
deep,
analogy.
undivided
There's
focus,
a
attention
narrow, deep
on something,
very
undivided
you know,
focus,
there's a
attention
fixation
on something.
on
Is
getting
very
one
there's
thing
a
right.
there's a
and
fixation
getting it
Mhm.
on
perfect.
getting one
Mhm.
thing right. The payroll
getting it,
department
perfect
Mhm.
expresses
the
the
payroll
neurodiversity
department
of the
Expresses
organization.
the
That's what's, interesting. In the last couple of years, I've come to the conclusion.
Of the organization.
That's what's,
Interesting.
neurodiverse. In the last couple of years, I've come to the conclusion are attracted to neurodiverse because it gives us the ability to focus. Because it gives us the ability to
There must have been
focus
a payment system before recorded
the
history.
one thing.
There must have
absolutely.
been a payment system before
if you
recorded
go
history.
back
It's not like it's not like
absolutely.
it's not like agriculture.
If you go
Where
back,
it's not like this is not something we invented or figured out how to do. Where eventually. This is not something we invented or figured out how to do eventually. This is a fundamental instinctual. It's a proxy. It's a proxy for what we need. We need to survive, but it's a proxy and thrive. It goes back to for what we need. We need Maslow's to survive, hierarchy of needs or whatever and thrive. It goes back to some people are working Maslow's hierarchy of needs or whatever. Others are working to thrive. Some people are working just to make survive, more than they others need. Others are working to, and that's okay. Whether that means or to make more than they need. Their work, but there's a lot of psychology and or to find more meaning in their work, but there's a lot of psychology and why people work. The what's the word? The rationale. What's the word? The employ people. The rationale does not employ people. It leaves a lot of that out. Does not. It just there's so that you have a lot of that out. An organization just. It just basically so that you have an organization. An organization just on the human basically capitalizes need on the humans' perceived and real need to work to provide real need to work to provide something that will enable them to persist. To provide something for something that will enable them to bartering. Persist.
You substitute and survive. There's always bartering. Way back into history. I love history. There was always a bartering system. Way back into history. I love history. Involved. There was always a bartering system. An exchange, quid pro quo. This for that involved.
Basically, the psychology of payroll. Yeah, I mean, you're right because we are capitalizing on the individual need. Yeah, I mean, you're right because we are capitalizing on the individual need, which is a corollary or the second step worthwhile after knowing that you've provided for yourself, the second step to survive, which is actually just sort of provided for yourself that you're going to survive. Visceral form of which is actually just sort of very visceral. Right? Because if you can actually survive, form of if you can actually not because if you can actually survive because you don't have food and shelter, then you can actually not die of starvation because you don't have visceral level food and shelter. Then at a very have reached the conclusion that you matter. Visceral level, right?
Well, how many times have we
reached the conclusion that you matter?
An employee, right? Well, how many times have we heard for a role say, I want to find a place where I fit someone interviewing for a role. I want a place where I'm respected. I want to find a place where I fit in. I want everybody's looking respected, and which means they're looking for a tribe. Everybody's looking for them, which means they're looking for a tribe and understand that will accept them and speak the same language. Them and understand them, and I think that that's really the same language, and I think that that's really where it came to form. Is to have a age-old university common language that really came to form. Is to have create a common language that could be used for commerce.
Thanks for tuning in to the Future of Workforce Management and Payroll Insights by HR.com. We hope today's episode brought you valuable insights and fresh perspectives on the future of payroll and workforce management. Be sure to check out more episodes and explore resources at HR.com/podcast or wherever you listen to podcasts. Until next time, keep innovating and making a difference in the world of payroll and workforce management.